Uh, Meow?
Nope, nope. It's not Sonic. It's not Sonic. It's not Sonic.
I'm Sonic, a little ball of super energy in an extremely handsome package.
So Sonic the Hedgehog is about the world-famous Sonic the Hedgehog who finds his way on Earth and finds himself in a buddy road trip adventure being chased by the evil Dr. Robotnik. As you probably know, this went through a extremely tedious and difficult production history. It started out when they unveiled this design that just everybody hated, and then the director of the movie said, alrighty, we get it, we understand you don't like it, and so they pushed the movie back 4 months to fix the design of Sonic and reanimate him completely, which I have to give props for the filmmakers for really caring about Sonic and the fan base and what they thought, and they fixed it, and they had a really nice design, and having watched this movie, this design is worlds better, and it's actually a really great design. I really wish they had started with this so we'd gotten this back in November, but I just think it's really cool that they turned themselves around, they listened to the fans, and they gave them what they wanted, and you could show that they really cared about the characters in this. But production history and character design aside, was the movie any good? It actually was. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of expected this to be a bit of a disaster. The trailers didn't really interest me in any way. It wasn't like a huge standout except for Jim Carrey returning to comedy, kind of a return to form for him. But I was pleasantly surprised at how interested in this movie I was, how much fun I had. It was just a solid, fun time. Now, granted, I don't think it's a great movie by any means. There are a ton of flaws with it, which we'll get into, but I just think it's a fun, enjoyable, mindless kids movie, and I think you can have some fun with it. And obviously the first thing that you have to start with when you're talking about Sonic is Sonic. Sonic is actually really lovable in this movie. He's got this fun personality to him, he's fast-paced, he's a very watchable character, and when you watch him on the screen, you really do care for him because the voice work behind him is great, the animation actually is really, really great for him. It's not the best thing in the world. You can tell it was a little rushed, but for what they did, it's really, really impressive stuff. I actually really enjoyed Sonic as a character in this movie. And then, of course, you have Jim Carrey playing Dr. Robotnik, kind of as like a return to comedy for Jim Carrey. And unironically, he gives a fantastic performance. He just embraces this ridiculous role and just has fun with it. And you can tell watching this movie, Jim Carrey is having an absolute blast making this movie and just being ridiculous and goofy, making these fun faces, and it was just fun for him. You can tell watching this movie that he was having a blast, and you have a blast watching him. But what surprised me the most about this movie is that despite a pretty generic and cliched story, you kind of feel invested in what's going on. You enjoy what's happening, and I don't know, it's just a weird feeling to have when you're so expecting a movie to be bad and it turns out it's actually decent. I mean, yeah, it feels like a pretty basic generic road trip movie. It feels like a very generic kids movie, but I gotta say, it's pretty much everything you could ask for out of a kids movie. It's entertaining, it's enjoyable, it's funny, it's got some good action, it's got some heart in there. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for out of a kid's movie. Now, granted, not everything is great about this movie. I mentioned that before. Let's dive into some of the negatives because this is by no means a perfect movie. Obviously, as I mentioned, it is a pretty generic storyline. I mean, it does feel exactly like Detective Pikachu and other movies kind of like that. So it's nothing groundbreaking or new in the story or what happens in the movie. Now, I'm not out here saying that I expected this movie to be game-changing in the storytelling sense, but I could have seen them going in a couple other directions that would help distinguish itself from other movies kind of like this. There's also a few elements to this movie that really don't feel necessary in the grand scheme of things and really don't matter, and it doesn't make sense why they put them in the movie. For example, the military in this movie, they're really only in it for about 5 minutes at the beginning, and then they're at the end for a cheap laugh, and that's about it. There's really no other purpose to it. And then obviously there are some moments in here that you can tell feel really forced because they are cliches in a lot of children movies. And you kind of expect that whenever you watch movies like this. And I didn't not see it coming, but I was wishing it wouldn't have felt so forced. But there were moments where you're like, yeah, I know exactly where this is going, and yep, that's where it went. Okay. And then, of course, like most children's movies, there's just some jokes that aren't gonna quite land, especially for a college-age guy like me, like some fart jokes in there and some other jokes that just, they're geared for kids, and you get the laugh out of the kids, but as like an older person watching it, it's just not that funny. But despite all of that, Sonic the Hedgehog is actually a pretty enjoyable movie, given its faults. I had a good time with it. I laughed at multiple moments, which honestly I was surprised. And once again, I'm really impressed with the animation work here. Even if you don't have an interest in seeing this movie, I would still recommend going and seeing it, buying a ticket, and just supporting this movie and what the animators and the director had to do over the extra 4 months that they had. They had to basically reanimate an entire movie. That is a lot of work. So go support these guys, even if you have no interest in doing it. I think it's really important, and I think they did a good job. I think they deserve it. And I'm going to give Sonic the Hedgehog a double tap. If there's one lesson that I've learned watching this movie, it's that you are never too far gone from redemption. That is all I'm saying. If Sonic can do it, you can too. Anyways, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit subscribe down below to see more movie reviews just like this one. I've got more reviews coming out in the next couple of days, particularly Fantasy Island. I've heard terrible things about it. I'm seeing it tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes. And also, if you liked the cold opens, kind of like what I did here, more of like a sketch type format, let me know. It was just something that I thought of on the spot, and I thought I'd give it a try. So, yeah, if you enjoyed it, let me know if you want to see more of those. If not, I can just stick to the one-liners as a cold open. But anyways, thank you guys again so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.